Welcome to this latest edition of the Ril Dil Podcast, episode 964. As we discuss the world of sports and pop culture, of course, my name is Cyril Gerald Quinn. I've been with you for a couple of weeks. Great to be back here on this summer edition. Usually, of course, this is the time of sports year of the sports calendar where you're kind of able to catch your breath, start getting ready for the football season and training camp and things of that nature. But you got a lot going on with the upcoming Olympics. And we are going to begin with free agency winners and losers. The two winners in terms of teams have to be Philadelphia and Oklahoma City. Philadelphia gets the prized possession of the free agent class this year in terms of Paul George. You're talking about you add Paul George to an already talented Sixer team. You keep Kelly Oubre. You get Caleb Martin. You know, Maxey, of course, is developed into an all-star, an all-NBA caliber player. And, of course, you're hoping and praying, if you're a Philadelphia fan, if Joel Embiid can stay healthy for a full season and more importantly into the playoffs. Philly has all the talent to win the Eastern Conference. In a playoff series against Boston, if they are healthy, Boston would have no one that could deal with Embiid. You have Paul George, who's a wing defender, not the level that he once was, but still an above average defender and still an excellent offensive player. Last year he shot, was basically 40, basically 50, 40, and 90. You have him matched up against, say, a Jaylen Brown or a Jason Tatum. And again, you have a Philadelphia team that is a talent. This is a very talented team. They easily could have won the series against the Sixers. That was as closely contested of a 6-game series as you're going to get against the Knicks last year. So this is a team that is, the East is right there. Of course, Boston's the team to beat, but championship hangover a year old. Boston. We'll see if they can come back with the target on their back. On paper, Boston's still the team to beat, but I don't think by a significant amount, especially with the Porzingis situation. With he's going to miss the beginning part of the season. Again, he's had a number of injury issues over the course of his career. Who knows if he will ever be able to make it through a full postseason healthy. So Sixers, biggest winner in the East, biggest winner in the West has to be the Oklahoma City Thunder. Oklahoma City Thunder, adding, you get Isaiah Hartenstein and, of course, the Alex Caruso trade, but Isaiah Hartenstein was a big pickup. That hurt the Knicks. That's going to hurt the Knicks dramatically, despite the fact that the Knicks were able to add Mikal Bridges with the blockbuster trade a couple weeks ago. Hartenstein is a very good player. He's an excellent defensive player. He's the type of guy that you need on a team that is trying to compete for a championship. We saw how well he played in the playoffs. He destroyed teams, especially on offensive rebounding wise, especially the Sixers and the Pacers to a lesser extent. And he's the type of guy who is a better offensive player than probably, we got to see in New York. Oklahoma City will be able to unlock some things offensively with his passing. There's been also talk that he can knock down corner threes as well. And you look at their top 7, you're talking about SGA, Jalen Williams, Chet Holmgren, Dort, Hartenstein, Caruso, Wiggins, and the other Jalen Williams. That is as good as top 7 as there is in the league outside of maybe the Boston Celtics. They did a tremendous job with those particular moves. And they, to me, especially what transpired with the LA teams and the big loss Denver had, they, to me, are the team to beat in the Western Conference. This team played well in the playoffs last year. They, took Dallas to 6. That series was closer. Could have easily won that series. There were a couple close games. In that series, but they were right there in that series. We know SGA is a legit MVP candidate. You expect Holmgren to take another jump, and they're going to be in a competition to win a championship. They're going to be amongst a handful of teams that can absolutely win the entire thing. And to me, go into next season as the team to beat in the Western Conference. So Sixers, Oklahoma City are the two big winners to me. The biggest loser to me was without question the Denver Nuggets. The Denver Nuggets, who, last year in 23, of course, won the championship, lost a classic 7-game series to Minnesota. You lose continuous Caldwell Pope to free agency when you could have easily paid for him and kept him. But instead, they were concerned about the second apron. We'll talk more about that, which has become the boogeyman of the NBA from a financial standpoint. The second tax apron. They stayed below that, but they lose a guy that is a legit two-way player. These guys are as valuable as outside of superstar players. These two-way wing players are as valuable as they come in terms of commodities in the NBA. He's a guy that can shoot 40% on the 3-point line. Championship player, has 2 rings, and was a viable, very important player on both championship teams with the Lakers in 2020 in the bubble and with Denver in 2023. It's an inexcusable loss if you're Denver. First of all, I get why teams don't want to pay over the second tax apron, the loss of draft picks and other resources that kind of cripple you in the future. Denver is playing for right now. It's not about the future for the Denver Nuggets. You have the best player in the world. You have excellent talent around him in terms of Gordon, Porter, and Jamal Murray. But the problem is your room for error just got that much smaller. Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr. are guys who are not the most durable players in the world. Okay. Aaron Gordon, very good player. He's not a number 2 option. We know what he does. He's perfect in his role. You're dependent on young players, Christian Brown and these guys, some of these other guys. You've lost back-to-back years where you've lost 2 viable wing defenders who were guys who were not afraid of the moment in Bruce Brown and continues Caldwell Pope. They not replace either one of those guys. And to me, Denver goes into next season. I don't think they can, as currently constructed in the Western Conference, I don't think this team is a legit top tier championship contender. You can call them a fringe contender because Jokic is that great. But I'm seriously concerned about Denver moving forward, because if I'm Jokic and I'm saying, hold on, I'm the best player in the world. These are my prime years, and you don't want to pay over a luxury tax, and we're making money hand over foot, selling out the building, television money. What are we doing here? Because if I'm Jokic, don't think just because Jokic is not a big social media guy and he's not big with all these commercials, don't think he doesn't care about his legacy. When you get to the level of Jokic and you talk about being mentioned amongst one of the all-time great players, you 1,000% care about your legacy. He has 3 MVPs and 1 championship. He needs those championships to catch up with those MVPs because he has an opportunity to be considered one of the 15, maybe one of the 10 greatest players in the history of the sport. He has that type of ability. At least at the baseline, his baseline should be probably one of the top 15 players in NBA history. He's close to being there now, but if I'm Jokic, I'm about championships at this point. Nothing else matters. The individual awards and stats, it's about rings. And to me, Denver took a major step back, losing KCP. KCP is an invaluable player. Get about the numbers, the intangibles, the toughness. Again, a guy who will guard any wing player, period, and take on that challenge. And there are a number of wing players in the Western Conference that you have to deal with. The other loser, frankly, were the LA teams. Let's begin with the Clippers. You lose Paul George. You don't. Again, they were also concerned about paying about the second apron. And paying into the second apron. They were not going to give Paul George the money he wanted because they frankly did not believe that team could compete for a championship or that those guys would ever be healthy. That's the bottom line. And yeah, from that standpoint, they're right. Both those guys probably will never be healthy throughout a whole throughout the whole course of a playoff run in Paul George and Kawhi Leonard. Kawhi Leonard, of course, is out of the Olympics. I don't know why he was there in the first place with the concerns of his knee. He should have been there in the first place. Like, that was just dumb. And the Clippers basically said, get your ass out of there. So I get the sense that you are not, you don't believe in your team in terms of being a championship team moving forward. The problem with that logic is the equity and capital you gave up to get Paul George and to get Kawhi Leonard, to get Paul George with that SGA trade about 4 years ago, or 5 years ago. The Oklahoma City Thunder are still collecting on that equity. Do you realize that? And I'll look this up now. First of all, SGA is going to be an MVP, has a chance to be an MVP. I look this trade up now. Yeah, it was 5 years ago. So Thunder got SGA. He's an MVP he's an MVP caliber player. He's an MVP candidate year in, year out, top 5 player. Jalen Williams, who has a outside chance of being an all-star, one of the top 3 players. They still have the rights to the Clippers 2025 first round pick swap, a 2026 unprotected first round pick. Okay. A 2026 unprotected first round pick. That's unprotected. So that trade, I mean, again, if they win a championship, that's one of the worst. If Oklahoma City wins a championship, that is one of the worst trades in NBA history. That's all there is to it. And to me, when you go all in, because basically Paul George and Kawhi Leonard were a package deal. So if they don't make that trade, they don't get Kawhi Leonard, and he goes to the Lakers. So they had to, in essence, they had to make the move. And at the time, we loved the move. We like, okay, the Clippers are a legit championship contender. They might be able to break this long curse. And all they have to show for it is one conference finals appearance. One. Like in 2021, yeah. When they lost to Phoenix in 6 games. One finals conference appearance. Those guys, in particular Kawhi Leonard, were never healthy. And, they remember the 2020 disaster where they blew a 3-1 lead. And they've been first round, one and done the last 2 years. Again, when you make a trade like that and go all in like that, you have to finish a job. When I mean finish a job, you have to sign Paul George and say, we just gonna ride this out until we can't ride it out anymore. Because the 2nd of April, forget about the future. You have no future because you don't have picks. Who cares about losing a 2032 pick? Those guys are going to be done after that anyway. They'll by 2020. That's 8 years from now. So to me, I don't understand. I get why they did it because they don't believe in their team for the future. But considering what they gave up, it's ridiculous that they did not pay Paul George. It's insane. Either that or just completely break up the team. They're trying to do that the halfway in between. There's no in between. You're either all in or y'all out. It's just that simple. Break up the team, trade Kawhi, trade Paul George, get some of those picks back. Or should not trade Paul George, trade Kawhi, trade Kawhi and do a sign trade and recoup some of that equity, some of that draft capital back, and start over. Even with the new arena, like Kawhi, Kawhi Leonard is not the biggest. It's not like you're not losing. You coming into that new arena, the team is they're an okay team, and they picked up some nice free agents signings, Batum and Derrick Jones Jr., nothing serious, nice players. And the Lakers, who were in seemingly discussions with every single player to get only turned down by the likes of Buddy Hield, DeMar DeRozan, et cetera, you end up with what? Max Christie and Bonnie James Jr. on the 2024-2025 Lakers. Basically, they're running it back. And JJ Redick is going to unlock Austin Reeves, and we're going to have the whole Bonnie James Jr. circus. He's playing tonight as we record. 4 points and I think 2 rebounds in his first not G League, Summer League scrimmage, not Summer League game, excuse me, over the weekend in 22 minutes. Didn't play the second game, he's playing tonight. So, we'll see what happens with that. But the Lakers were not able to upgrade their roster at all. LeBron takes a slight pay cut for them to stay under the second apron, but, okay, that's nice. That's kind of like you sign my son out, we want to pay into the luxury tax or the second apron. Well, I take a slight haircut, which to LeBron is nothing. The guy, is raking in like $100 million a year with endorsements, and he's a billionaire. So, the Lakers are, they are who they are. They are, they will be a fringe playoff team at best, possibly a play-in team, and the Clippers probably would be in the same position. Like Clippers may be a top 16, more likely a top 18, but the Clippers are not very good. And we all know Kawhi Leonard is going to miss games. It's just that simple. He's going to miss a bunch of games and highly unlikely to stay fully healthy for the entire playoff run because we haven't seen him do it. We've seen him do it, how many times? Like one time, the 2020 bubble, and that's basically been it. DeRozan to the Kings, it's fine. I mean, DeRozan is a very good player. DeRozan is going to go to the Hall of Fame, and rightfully so. He's going to, end up with, I think, probably over 25,000 points. He's had a great career. DeRozan really, and it's gotten better over the second part of his career. Like he's been better in San Antonio. And so he as a scorer, he's been better in San Antonio and Chicago than he was in Toronto as far as shooting and efficiency. But it's not a move that is going to move the needle for the Kings. It's a very good move, but they'll be a fringe playoff type team. Again, the West is loaded, so they're just in the wrong conference from that standpoint. In terms of this, so getting back to the second apron, these teams are seemingly scared to death of the second apron in terms of paying over it. Here's the teams that are over the second apron: Boston, Dallas, the Lakers, Minnesota, Phoenix, Milwaukee, and Golden State. Boston won the championship. Dallas was in the finals. Lakers, of course, made the playoffs. Minnesota was in the conference finals. So you had 3 of the 4 conference finals participants over the second apron. You look at some of the numbers, teams in the NBA on average are worth $3.85 billion, up 35% from the previous season. These teams have money. When you look at operating costs versus total revenue, they're making money hand over foot, and that's even without the new upcoming record-setting television contract that's coming up. That's going to go with Amazon and NBC and what have you that they're going to get, and ESPN is part of that as well. So the money's there. I understand if I'm not a championship team, I wouldn't have motivation to pay into the second apron. I get it. If you are a championship team, if you're the Denver Nuggets, you're the Boston Celtics, you have to pay into the second apron. It's inexcusable. I don't want to hear about the future and picks and things of that nature. You have to pay into the second apron. But most importantly, I love the second apron because what it does is it exposes poorly ran franchises. There are a number of poorly ran franchises in terms of drafting and developing talent. You now have to absolutely draft at a high level and develop talent. If I'm an owner, if you're a smart owner or executive, and you're running a team, you're putting. I want to have the best possible talent developing, player developing, drafting, scouting situation in the whole league. That's where your money and your resources should be going, because it's going to be more important than ever. You have to be kind of like what the Tampa Bay Rays have been in baseball. Tampa Bay Rays have made the playoffs 5 straight years, from 2019 to 2023. One of those, they lost the World Series to Dodgers in the bubble season 2020. All right, so 5 straight playoff appearances with a bottom half payroll. That payroll is somewhere between 23rd and 30 every year. They have one of the lowest payrolls in baseball. But you know what they have? They have a top, during that time span, they have a top 6 farm system. So they develop talent. They don't sign bad free agents. They don't miss on they don't miss for the most part on draft picks. And they are more than competitive. They are out there competing with the big boys. That's the type of situation that you're going to have in the NBA. Because you're not going to be able to stack talent. They're not going to be able to stack talent anymore. It's just not like the NBA is not built like that, especially even with this, with the talent being spread out in the second apron. You're going to have to be able to draft and develop talent from within. Good luck with signing free agents. There's not a free agent that's going to change the trajectory of your team overnight. Like for Paul George, even for a guy for Philadelphia to be able to get a guy like Paul George is rare. That level of player who's a future Hall of Famer who can still play at an All NBA caliber level. That's rare. Most guys either sign the contract extensions or stay with their teams. The system is designed to prevent trades, to prevent trades, and teams, of course, have the most money. If you're the incumbent team, you can pay your player the most money, and more times than not, the player is going to go where the most money, where he can get paid the most money. So, again, the second apron. If I'm a team, again, you got to be very selective in terms of spending the money. If I'm competing for a championship, I want to compete for a championship, then you have to pay over the second apron. You have to. That's why it was just lunacy for the Denver Nuggets not to pay into the second apron. It just made 0 sense. As far as USA basketball, we already talked about the Kawhi Leonard thing. I don't care about who starts. It's about who finishes the game. And we're getting to these based on who should be starting. It's about who finishes the game. It's a very interesting team, obviously a loaded team. Derek White, of course, replaced Kawhi Leonard. It makes sense. Him being a guy who is one of the better point guard, defensive perimeter defense players in the world. And it has improved offensively. A lot, Jaylen Brown could have been, you could have brought in Jaylen Brown, but I guess you want somebody that can guard some of these shifty point guards that they're going to see over the course of the Olympics. This team absolutely should win the gold medal. They are clearly the most talented team. I wouldn't be shocked if they didn't know. Like, I wouldn't be shocked. Like, you're already hearing some stuff. Jason Tatum saying the Celtics could, beat this team, and then jokingly, but still. And we're saying, he'd be the number 1 option. He's the number 1 option. It's stuff that you probably shouldn't be hearing before the games are played. This is the last hurrah, of course, for LeBron James, Curry, Steph Curry, and Kevin Durant, who have been the 3 most dominant and generational defining players of this era. And I wonder how these guys will be able to mix with some of these young up-and-coming budding stars like Anthony Edwards, Devin Booker, and what have you, Jason Tatum. Jason Tatum was coming off a championship. So it'll be fascinating to watch. Again, like, France is loaded. France is absolutely loaded with talent. Canada is loaded with talent. Again, the world is going to be, the world has gotten better. The talent has spread. The world has definitely gotten better. But at the end of the day, the USA absolutely 1,000% should win a gold medal. Like, that it would be one of not a historic upset, but a major upset if USA did not win the gold medal. Listen, Bronny James. Listen, I'm not going to relitigate the draft. Him getting drafted. I don't agree with the process of how it went down, how it was manufactured by LeBron and Clutch. But he got drafted at the number 55 pick. I think they're skipping steps with him. I think he definitely should have did a year of college and developed his skill and got more reps. He has not played. The bottom line, the underreported story that doesn't get reported enough is he has not played a lot of basketball in the last 2 to 3 years. He's been injured. He had the cardiac arrest. Didn't play a lot at UC. He plays 1 year at USC. Didn't get a lot of playing time at USC. So he has not played a lot of basketball, period. That's the underreported thing about Bronny James. And listen, you come into Summer League. Here's the thing about the Summer League. If a player goes out there and lights up the Summer League, it's not a big deal. The competition in the Summer League is not that high compared to what you're going to see in regular NBA competition, regular season in the NBA. If a guy goes out there and struggles in the Summer League, it's a huge deal because if you have any aspirations of playing in the NBA, or you forget about being in a rotation, you should be destroying the Summer League. Absolutely destroying the Summer League. So when he comes out there and gets 4 points and 2 rebounds, that's a red flag. Now we'll see what what happens tonight, but don't tell me that Summer League doesn't mean nothing for him. Maybe for a number 1 draft pick, maybe for a guy who you know is going to be in a rotation for their particular team or close to the rotation. Maybe it doesn't mean anything for them, but not for Bronny James Jr. Not for Bronny James Jr. It means everything. Those games in terms of reps, confidence, these games mean a lot. If he can't cook these dudes, then what is he going to do in the NBA? Forget about the NBA. What will he even do in the G League if he can't cook these dudes? Most of these dudes will not be playing in the NBA or be on NBA rosters. They'll either be in the G League or maybe even overseas. We lost a week. Axel Foley comes out last Thursday. I watched it, hour and 57 minutes, and it was, I would say, the worst Beverly Hills Cop, and that's hard to be considering how bad to be. Listen, Eddie Murphy is a whole legend, one of the greatest comedic actor of all time. It's not even really close, to be honest with you. Obviously, legendary stand-up. He can no longer carry a movie without superior writing, producing, directing, the whole nine. It's just like he's still funny, but certain projects just you need to let him go. You look at like his last 3 or 4 movies, right? So you get Dolomite, you get Coming to America 2, and you get Axel Foley, Beverly Hills Cop 4, Axel Foley. Dolomite, of course, was a remake from Rudy Ray Moore from the 70s. That was a great movie. It was a great performance, but you had top-notch writing in that. Coming to America and Axel Foley, those are remakes that he had early in his career. You just gotta leave those alone. Like the Beverly Hills Cop is a classic cop, buddy cop movie. Classic. The first two. Coming to America was a classic comedy. You just can't. That nostalgia is over. Everybody loves nostalgia, but these last 2 movies he's made have been so bad. I may watch Beverly Hills Cop again. I'm never watching Coming to America 2 again, ever. I won't ever watch that movie again, ever. But you can't remake these movies. It's over. Like from that standpoint, it's like you just can't touch those movies anymore. And I still think Eddie Murphy has a lot to offer as far as the comedic talent on a movie with the right writing and with the right situation with the right script. I'm not saying he's cooked and is done, but what I'm telling you is that this is not the 80s, early 80s, early 90s. He's not like can't carry a movie. Again, even then, it wasn't so much that he was carrying a movie But you had great writing. Those scripts were great. The 48 hours, trading places like that. That you had great scripts and and great supporting cast around him as well. Look at some of those supporting cast that he had earlier in his career. But this movie was horrible. I didn't have high expectations for this movie. Did not at all. Did I have high expectations for this movie, and it was worse than I actually thought it would be, which was hard to be. Be perfectly honest with you. Well, real thoughts before I let you go. Stephen Curry was on the Olympic team. He is eligible for the extension in the summer. Klay Thompson, of course, just went to Dallas. You can put Dallas as a winner, for the free agency as well. They definitely have an improved basketball team, but I'm not sure they're can get to the finals next year. But we'll see. Well, we'll see if Lively takes a major jump and Luka continues to improve and gets his conditioning right. They can definitely be in the mix in the Western Conference, and they will be a top 4 team. But Stephen Curry is an interesting place, similar to LeBron. You're on teams that absolutely have no chance to win a championship, especially in the Western Conference. Lakers are probably a little better off than the Warriors because they have Anthony Davis. Curry doesn't have that second top guy on that level. Now Golden State's made some moves. Buddy Hield, and we see slow mo. I forgot his name. Anderson. Nice player, but not going to move the needle. The Klay Thompson is a big loss. And it'll be interesting to see. Like Steph Curry, if you're Steph Curry, you still want to win. And I was looking ahead to free agency in a couple of years. I wonder if Steph, like San Antonio. I know they signed Chris Paul, but Chris Paul, that was it's whatever with that. I don't think people are making way too much of that move. Chris Paul is basically cooked. He's probably, is Chris Paul even a starting point guard at this stage in his career? To be honest with you, so I'm not gonna go too crazy on that. But San Antonio, in 2 years, when Steph Curry will be a free agent, has enough capital and cap space to land Steph Curry and make some major trades on top of it, or having one of the best players in the world. Like Wembanyama by then will be a perennial MVP candidate, and certainly I think a top 10 and top 5 player in 2 years. Maybe he could be the best player in the world in 2 years. So if I'm Steph Curry, leaving Golden State is not, to me, out of the realms of possibility. You're not ring chasing when you have 4 rings. If you're Steph Curry, he's done everything for Golden State that he can do. I don't see why it's a big deal. I don't see him being criticized if he leaves Golden State. He doesn't have to be loyal. There's no such thing. That loyalty shit is done in sports. That's not like players leave all the time. You see how many teams LeBron has been on and what have you. So I think people got into his head. He's synonymous with the Bay Area, with Golden State. But I'm Steph Curry, and I'm playing at an All NBA caliber level, and I am still one of the top, 6 to 7 players, 6 to 8 players in the world. Clearly, still the best shooter. Why am I not trying to bring number 5? So again, especially with a guy teaming up with a guy like Wembanyama. Can you imagine those two on the same team and you get other shooters around them? They have 34 draft picks from now until 2031. 34. So they have a bunch of assets to go out there and get another player. The last thing is I'll leave you with, of course, we saw what happened with the debate last week and horrible performance by Joe Biden. Trump told a lie, basically 10 lies a minute. But there's been, of course, this major outcry within the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party has been at war for years within each other. The moderates versus progressive, the young versus the old. They horrible at messaging. But you're seeing a few Democrats come out and say Joe Biden should step down, which there's zero chance unless Joe Biden goes to the hospital, has a severe medical issue, God forbid, he's not stepping down. Like, you don't see incumbent presidents step down. I know what the poll numbers are looking like, but like, Democrats, shut the fuck up. Like, it's time to circle the white wagons and get ready for this war for the next, until November. Like, you have a guy on the other side that is threatening democracy. The Project 2025, he wants to be a king. He wants to have Trump's probably in office for the next 50 years with himself, Donald Trump Jr. and his younger son, Barron. That's possibly what would happen. Like, you're talking about Trump wins. There are no more elections. They're like, it's done. Like, there's no more democracy for what the stuff he has planned. And, they already have control of the courts, the Supreme Courts, and he put in more judges. So circle up, back Joe Biden and shut the fuck up and keep it moving. That's how I do. And I don't know why anybody even would respond to George Clooney. I don't give a fuck what George Clooney has to say. I really don't. Maybe George Clooney follows politics, cares about politics. So do I. Who cares? But like George Clooney, please, why are we platforming George Clooney? No, and I don't care that he knows Joe Biden. Like, and I'm not telling George Clooney to shut up. You got a right to your opinion, but I don't think we should give a shit about what George Clooney says about politics. Period. So, but the Democrats, the whining and just the outright stupidity to be just destroying themselves from within, as these right wingers have gotten more powerful and their voices in terms of backing Trump have gotten stronger. You can say what you want about Republicans. They stand with their guy. Period. They stand with the guy. They are loyal, and for all the wrong reasons, but they're still loyal. Behind a liar, behind somebody who's a criminal, what have you. But I'm tired. I'm just tired of Democrats talking in regards to thinking that Joe Biden should step down. He's not going to step down, and it would be it'd be political suicide for the party. It would be the worst. No other candidate would have a chance in hell of beating Donald Trump. Not Kamala, Newsom, whoever you toss in there has zero chance. The one chance they have is, yes, 82-year-old Joe Biden. Period. That's it. Circle the wagons, rally around your guy, and beat Trump in November. That's it. That's the mission. That's it. That's all you need to do. That's all you have to do. That's all should be. That's all. The only thing you should be focused on. That's going to wrap it up for this latest edition of the Ril Dil Podcast. I will see you next time. Have a great rest of your evening, rest of the week. So long.